This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, just another voice in the wilderness. Today I'm going to talk based on the quote by Voltaire. Anyone that can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. There are lots of quotes that emphasize the stupidity. That famous quote by Einstein that the universe might not be infinite, but the stupidity is. And it's true that human stupidity is a huge problem. But we need to understand, because if we always we must know, my point is, or the point that I want to emphasize is, stupidity must not be used to justify what is wrong about our societies, because therefore if we do it, then we are being stupid ourselves. What these quotes, like the Voltaire quote, what they tell us, they tell us a story about our true condition, our socio-cultural condition, which we need to understand in order to be aware, to develop a conscious to develop but to train consciously our critical analytical skills. They are natural, they are innate, but they need to be trained. We need to understand language and language framing, and that is all real. All these issues need to be understood under the umbrella of our socio-cultural nature, not only identity, but our very nature. And this is why if we try to dissect, or at least to elaborate upon the quote by Voltaire, anyone that can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities, we can understand that we, by being exposed to a flow of information, by living in an environment that is filled with information, that information, narratives, anything is a narrative. Anything that we are exposed to is organized patterns that send us a message. Okay? As a paradigm is language framing, is frames, is pieces of reality within a frame. That and the concept of frame is very important, because then we understand that from how the frame is built, it's how ideological and culturally the message is framed. It's going to be, we are going to have an idea about that piece of reality based on the perspective of the person or the organization or institution or government that is responsible to create it. And that's That's why we, by just being exposed all our lives, day after day, to these frames that are used to organize, that are going to be used by us because they just come inside us, and then we process them at the subconscious level, and that's how we build our psycho-socio-cultural identity. That it's going to function as the lenses through which we perceive ourselves and the reality, and we build our relations with that reality and the people and nature and everything else. That's how it works. That's how we build our minds. We don't have a mind of ourselves. We are so the point is that in my opinion, and this is interesting because I don't base my that's my eclectic knowledge, let's put it this way, that has been built as a self-thought person, okay, that has been interested in so many fields, and of course I could not be an expert. I'm not an expert in anything, and you can say, how can you talk about this and that and human nature and so many other things that how can you why should people listen to you if you are no expert on any particular field? And I think that's already it's already there is already a fallacy there, because it is a fact that not having lacking knowledge, that's for sure, that can lead us to wrong conclusions. But worse than lack of knowledge, okay, ignorance, that form of ignorance, is the other form of ignorance, that you have the knowledge, but you have the knowledge flawed, incorrect, and biased, and full of prejudices. And by prejudices and biases, you might think that science doesn't have it. If you go to fields as psychology or behavioral sciences or economics or sociology or other fields, yeah, they are full. It's full of theories. And by the way, I think everybody understands that the difference between a theory and the law. It's a theory. It doesn't. It's not a law, which means that the theory can. It's not comproved. It's just a theory. It's just it's just a collection of assumptions about something in an organized way. That makes sense for sure, but it doesn't mean it's correct. That doesn't mean it's completely true. It can be challenged at any point in time. My point is common sense. We need knowledge, and we need to base our knowledge as in facts, because that's, if we do not, of course, if we just take everything by its face value, it means that we are very gullible, and our opinions are going to be pretty flawed. So facts are important, and we need to be careful with the sources. And that's why I emphasize the need to develop our critical skills, our ability to dissect, to have a comprehensive analysis of the reality where we live. So that's why we need to understand the concepts, institutions, processes, systems, and build a comprehensive understanding of those things, which are not things, of those issues or whatever, in order to build sound knowledge. Because, and that's the point, we build that knowledge. So we need that sound knowledge to build the factual, as far as it is possible, database. But how does it work, a database in a human mind? A database in the human mind is not a database that is a database that is you have the long-term memories, implicit memories that kind of archive, if you want to call it an archive. It is cognitive and affective. No, that it is not only cognitive. That's why it is so powerful. That's how ideologies are so powerful. That's how ideas become. Because intellect, we can have rational analysis, whatever that means. Okay, but those analyses are always tainted. It's not tainted, they are tagged. They are qualified. They have a qualifying element, which is an emotional tag. And that is because that's how we living beings operate. Not only human beings, but probably all life operate, not at the same level of complexity as we humans do, or the mammals in general, but at the one of the functions, emotions are very old, and emotions have been always part of the regulation of the homeostasis regulation of the body, to give the body information about the environment. So we cannot understand ourselves, our very condition, if we don't understand these ideas about ourselves, which is, first of all, we are socio-cultural beings, okay? That's the nature of our condition. Second, cognition and affection go together. So we need to understand that if we lose the ability to feel, okay, cognition becomes it doesn't function properly because it's missing that element that gives it quality. So these abstract ideas, because we can think rationally, you can make equations, abstract thought, and all those things, but in the end, the ideas that ability, that human skill for creative imagination and abstract thought is a quality of a human being that is much more complex, that cannot abstract this part of himself or herself from the rest of the organism, of the living organism, from the rest of all the knowledge, the biases, the prejudices, the whatever it is that is him or her psycho-socio-cultural identity. For techno-professional purposes, we need experts. We need people that are dedicated to research and to be to know a lot about little. That's okay. It is important we know it about medicine, certain fields that could. I'm not going to discuss if many of our fast-pacing technological changes and advances is a good thing for society. That's another discussion, okay? But these expertises are important to advance certain knowledge and for the advancement of knowledge, scientific, fact-based knowledge. But for us, for 99% of the population, what we need as citizens that need to have political, economic, socio-cultural agency, not only as individuals, but as individuals that understand the relevance of the collective well-being, which means that by collective well-being, I mean the collective well-being of human beings that live in a wider environment that we call nature, and the well-being of nature, of the ecosystems that are essential, and all the rest is essential for our sustenance as a species on this planet. A flourishing planet is also it can provide for a flourishing humanity, but not flourishing in the way that we perceive ourselves, which again is a socio-cultural construct, as the pursuit of self-interest and wealth accumulation and rampant consumption and the primacy of private property and all these things that are interconnected is our ideological, socio-cultural frame, the narratives that from within our subconscious mind control our conscious decisions and choices. Okay? This is how we work. Therefore, for us, for the almost all humanity, what we need is not to be experts. We need to be critical thinkers with the ability to analyze what others try to sell us as being good for us. Okay? As politicians trying to sell a war, or trying to sell whatever it is, okay? Or as corporations trying to sell us products that we don't need, that we are going to buy with the money we don't have, all these things. So, what we need is citizens that develop, that train consciously their minds, because our minds are not, so many people have this idea of a mind of our own that exists separated from the body, okay? That we are already born with it. No, we are not. When we are born, we are born already with a basic personality and temperament, which is part of our idiosyncratic characteristics, but and of course, to a certain extent, it's going to have an impact on how we define ourselves, on how we behave, how we interact with others and the environment. But that's not a mind. Our mind is what we build through the interaction with our socio-cultural environment. Okay? That's what we absorb from our parents. It's our experience. It's built on our experience, on our acquisition of language and learning to identify patterns, and through mimicry and repetition. That's how we build our own mind. We don't have it. And I do not care, and that's the point I was trying to make before. You can, for eventually whoever listens to these words, might say, okay, this guy is saying these things, but it doesn't have any scientific base, it doesn't have it, it doesn't have that. Yeah, but again, common sense is as important as supposedly many scientific knowledge that we think is scientific, but is not, is pseudoscience, because there is a lot of pseudoscience that is sold to us as science, but it is not science. It is more ideology and sometimes theology than science. Then, how do we build sound discernment? We build it through training our analytical critical skills, training them. We are born with them, or the ability to develop them. But if you think, I repeat it again and again, but I need to, if you don't train them, it's like any other skill that you have. Of course, some of us will be better in it, doing it, and others not. But that is why we need a society based on truth, justice, and trust. Not blind trust, for sure, but that's why truth and justice is important, because these three aspects of reality, they reinforce each other. Which the opposite is also true. And these skills, like the need to see through the logical fallacies, the demagoguery, the understanding language framing, ideological framing, the use of metaphors and rituals, and all the rest, And this is the only way that we can build a sound discernment. As sound, it is flawed. It's going to be always flawed, because we are not able to understand the whole picture. There is always something missing. That's why we need each other to correct, to give the perspectives or the features that are missing, the pieces that are missing. When I say that we all are pieces and bits of other people, knowledge and experience, I mean it. That's what we are. That's how we build our own discernment. And that's why we also need knowledge that is produced by experts. But it doesn't mean that we elevate them to the point that we think they are authorities, that we make them, transform them into authorities, or saviors, or heroes, or leaders, or this or that. That's again a sociocultural construct that we need to get rid of it. We can organize our economies and our societies, and we can build an ecologicalistic civilization without the need to follow anybody, but the need to listen to respect, to admire, to criticize, to complete, to point the flaws. That's how we evolve individually, and that's how we participate in building the collective well-being. Some of you will think that, okay, this is pretty obvious. I mean, this is not rocket science. That's true. But that's another point that I want to make, and I made it before, and I will always emphasize it again. Another point that I emphasize a lot. We don't change our behavior. We don't change the way we perceive ourselves. We don't change how we perceive the world, okay? And we don't change our relations just because we understand something at the intellectual level, okay? Because we don't change unless there is a conscious process of transformative process going on, where you clearly know what's the direction you want to evolve. What kind of transformation do you want? You, not imposed or not out of some counseling from some sort of expert. No, out of your own. Again, you can have. We all need the knowledge and experience of other people, but that doesn't mean that we should follow them. So this is why that only when we are the directors of our own, which means that we choose carefully to what we expose ourselves, at least in a daily basis. But not only to reinforce our own prejudices and biases, we need to confront them too. We should be careful, another point, to call ourselves this and that. You know, when we call ourselves, when we put a label on ourselves, we are kind of fencing us. Kind of fencing, because this is a kind of already a tribalization, a process by which we fence ourselves within certain boundaries. Do we need boundaries? Yes, we do. Do we need values and principles? Of course we do, but we need to understand that we need principles and values that we should that like the human rights, universal human rights. We need those rights, those values and principles for what the economy should look like. Of course, this is very difficult. I know it, but to the point now, and that's the problem. It's not about stupidity, because I started it to talk about stupidity, and this is all the same. This is correlated and connected with that. Because the point is, if we do not just remember the quote, anyone that can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. All right? So, just think the depth of this thought. This means that the problem is that we, again, due to our sociocultural nature, we are driven towards tribalization. From that is because we need this more smaller identity, communal identity, with everybody shares, the same ideas and the principles and values and this and that, which we need to understand that is part of our condition. Okay, that's why it's so difficult to build a culture that is universal, because then there would be these people that, okay, what do you want? You want to side with the globalists? You want a global government? You want this? No, that is stupid. That I can tell you, that is stupid. A stupid idea. What we need is values and norms and rules and laws, of course, and principles that need to come from us. And again, that's the principle. This is the basic principle. We must not depend on others to tell us who we are, what we want, how we should organize our societies and economies. We should understand the basic principles our good society and social ecological economy should function. What should be the limits? And we need limits. We need boundaries. We need to respect boundaries. And we need to prevent the society and the economy and the countries and the institutions to be hijacked by the people, by the very people that have the antisocial traits. Because those which, sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissistic people, megalomaniac people, all these people will not care at all to use whatever means they have at their disposal to control the rest of us, the society, the economy, to control the institutions for the purpose of benefiting out of it. Concentration, accumulation of wealth, and concentration of power for control. But that's exactly how the kind of society and system we have. That's the kind of imperialistic civilization that we have. That's the model, that's the paradigm we need to challenge. And for that purpose, it is upon us, the 99% of the people of this world, even for those that in some countries, not in every country, benefit 10% of the population, they benefit of this very system because they belong to the professional managerial class. They have privileges that the rest of the population doesn't have. But at least 50% of the population doesn't benefit, more than 50%, but let's just make it like that. That doesn't benefit at all of the existing system because they are just tools. They are tools for empire. And that's why we will not be able to solve the problem unless we build a culture that liberates us from these sociocultural constructs that frame that actually are a cage that function, that transform us. First, they are able to divide us. Through many, there are many ways to divide the people, and therefore the point is, we need to understand, and this is kind of the takeaway point. We need to understand in a holistic way the sociocultural nature of our condition, which we do intellectually understand it, but we need to go from the intellectual understanding from a comprehensive, conscious transformative process of creating a kind of cultural, psychocultural immune system that prevents us from being transformed into tools of those that master the techniques of perception manipulation to manufacture consent. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And what is at the core of how we talk a lot about stupidity, and we should understand that a lot of what we call stupidity sprouts from this, our very condition of sociocultural nature of the human species, which means that we are very vulnerable to be manipulated by the same the skills we all have, but since we don't develop those skills, those who develop the techniques to manipulate us for their own benefit and for the benefit of the top 0.1% or 0.1%, we become victims. So we become the useful idiots, the cannon fodder, the disposable peons that not even understand our condition, because we still believe that we are free. Of course, we have some certain freedoms, and if you go to those countries that are supposed to be dictatorships, or those that are real dictatorships, people are free. People do the same things as you do, for as long as they are political eunuchs. Okay? For as long as they do not become a threat. And we need to become a threat, but an organized threat. Okay? A threat that needs to be based in universal principles and rules and values that defend the collective well-being, including the well-being of nature. And this is the kind of liberative, a culture of true liberation for the humankind. Not the liberation that is based on the consumerism or the fake democracy that we have the ability to choose people that are managers. They are managers. We have a managed democracy on behalf of the Pluto oligarchy. That's what it is. And we need to organize and unite against it. And I'm talking about most of us, even those that are benefiting with the existing structures, power structures. Okay, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your patience. But I do believe honestly that we need to have those discussions, because I think they are at the core of the problem that we face today, that humanity faces today. That is going to be that we should decide, we should decide the future that we want for humanity and for planet Earth. Not the Elon Musks, not the Trumps, not the von der Leyens, not the Rothschilds, not the people that are more or less the people with power and wealth. Those should not be the ones deciding the future for us, and we should not we should not respect them because they do not deserve it.